Hello everyone. As you can see, it's kind of a overcast day here in Milwaukee. It's about, what time is it? I can tell you exactly here. It's 7:35 a.m. on Sunday morning, and I came out to one of our city parks right here in the city limits of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, to kind of bring you a little bit of a different feel. From time to time, I kind of come out here and sit or walk around just to kind of clear my head sometime. But I thought I'd share this spot with you as we continue our talks on marriage. You know, on last week I came to you and we talked about some issues dealing specifically with men in marriage and the roles and responsibilities that I believe that a man needs to really take hold of and really kind of take the bull by the horns with marriage and take a position of authority in love in that relationship. And you'll recall, if you don't recall, go back and watch the last episode of this that I did on marriage in this series, and you'll see exactly what I think about the man's role. And you might recall that I said if there's an issue, if there's a problem in marriage, it's the man's fault. You know, I had said this week that I wanted to maybe concentrate in on the women a little bit, but I decided not to. I decided not to go and talk about the women, and here's the reason why. What I want to do, as I gave the man's perspective on what I thought the man's role is in marriage, I want to bring in an expert, i.e. a woman, to talk about the role of women in marriage. And so that's what we're going to do. And so hopefully next week we'll have that available for you. And I'm going to take a short break right here, and we'll be right back after these messages.
Milwaukee, what does God have in store for you in 2012? Do you need answers to your life struggles?
We shouldn't spend years and years trying to get this. It's simple.
Don't miss the OWN 2012 revival on November 6, 2011. You have questions and need answers from God so that you never repeat the same mistakes you have made. On November 6th in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, you will be able to be blessed by the OWN 2012 revival.
I'm going to do this thing, as some say, come hell or high water. Persistence.
O, operate in integrity. W, walk in God's will. N, no option for failure.
Every moment in your life, every decision that you have made has led to this point. Everything that you have done, everything that I have done, whether you're happy right now, whether you're sad right now, whether you're depressed right now, whether you feel up or whether you feel down, it is a direct result of the decisions that you have made in your life and the thought pattern that you have allowed yourself to have.
This is a free event, but you must have a ticket. Register for your free ticket now at www.thetrueway.org. www.thetrueway.org.
Hi, and welcome back. If you've been a member of the website at thetrueway.org for any length of time, and you've been listening to the sermons that I teach and reading the blog, you understand that I come from a perspective of love. That's what I consider to be the true way. If you want to really understand the true way of God and following Christ, you have to understand it and get it from a perspective of love. Love covers everything. Love is the end-all, be-all of everything. And when we can firmly implement that into our lives so that it is an integral part of who it is that we are, everything else starts lining up. When it comes to our everyday walk, when it comes to how we treat others, even how others treat us. Because the main thing about this thing, whether we're talking about relationships, just regular relationships in life, or we're talking about relationships in the context of marriage, we have to come from that perspective of love. I'll probably soon write a blog and or maybe a book or create an audio book on love, because there are some things that I'm still trying to work out that I haven't been able to put down on paper yet. But it's coming soon, believe me, because I've got to get these thoughts and these concepts out of my mind into a media that you can intake for yourself. But as we continue these discussions and these talks about marriage, you know, men play a very important role in what is going to happen and what is not going to happen in the confines of a marriage. We already know that, the divorce rate is sky high. 1 in 2 marriages fail, and it's probably going up even higher than that. Is 1 in 2 or 1 in 3? It's probably 1 in 2 by this point, because of our society, because of what our influences are, the things we watch on television, the friends that we have, the company that we keep. All of this plays a role in our marriage relationships, which, if you are married, that needs to be your focal point of your entire life. Not your boys, not your girls, not even church. Marriage is that thing that should be the focal point of what it is that you pay attention to. There should be nothing that comes before your marriage except for God. But God even talks about the relationship with Him in the context of a marriage, because He holds marriage in such high esteem. Where I want to go to this morning, and it's great having these little smartphones. I have the entire Amplified Bible. You guys hear me talking about the Amplified Bible all the time. I absolutely love that Bible. Downloaded it on my smartphone, so now I don't have to carry my big bulky Bible with me everywhere I go with that. But where I want to go this morning, or whenever you're watching this, is to the book of Malachi. It's the book of Malachi, the 2nd chapter, and the 16th verse is where I want to talk from briefly this morning. Now, it's in Malachi 2:16, again, reading out of the Amplified Bible. For the Lord, the God of Israel, says, I hate divorce and marital separation. Now, we understand that God hates divorce. He hates marital separation. He likes unity. And if you've committed yourself to your spouse, then that commitment needs to be kept. We take vows when we get married. Now, I understand, believe me, that things happen, and in the New Testament, God does give place, or Jesus does give place for divorce and how that should actually work. But it wasn't to be that way from the beginning. When you get married, it's supposed to be a commitment for life. So we understand that God hates divorce and marital separation. But here's the second part of the verse, which is kind of a kicker. And him who covers his garment, or his wife, with violence. We understand, and it's amazing that this was written so long ago, but we understand that there's a lot of issues, yes, even in the church, with domestic violence. One of the things that continues to still boggle my mind is preachers that don't address this, especially when they know that it's going on right there in the congregation. The domestic violence issue in this country is becoming astronomical. Even with teenagers dating, those of you that have teenagers that are of dating age that you allow to date, you've really got to talk to your girls about what's going on and the type of mentality and attitude that maybe her boyfriend may have. And nowadays, actually, even talk to your sons about some of the ways of his girlfriend, because one of the key things, and I think I said this on the last episode, was that one of the key things that my mother said to me when I was a 20-something-year-old was that what you get before is what you get after. And I explained that how a person acts before you say I do is exactly the same way they're going to act after you say I do. Nothing changes. So what you're dealing with before you walk down that aisle and make those vows and that commitment before God, those are going to be the same issues that you have to deal with afterwards. So there's some things that we can learn how to nip in the bud. Yeah, I know you may be all in love, and especially teenagers, they just get in love and fall in love, and they believe that's that's just it for them. But love does not cause violence. Love does not make you feel ashamed. Love does not make you feel scared or terrified. Love doesn't even make you nervous or scared in certain situations. But what we have to realize, even if God says, and I'll read it again, says, for the Lord God of Israel says, I hate divorce and marital separation, and him who covers his garment, his wife, with violence. We understand coverings, especially from a church perspective. If you're a ministry, people ask, well, who's your covering? Whether who's your bishop or the apostle that covers your ministry. And we recognize that a covering is an authority. Someone that we have to answer to, someone that guides us and leads us, gives us direction and correction when it's needed. So if you're a husband, and how are you covering your wife? Is it in love or is it in violence? You can even take the perspective of, if someone is covered in violence, kind of look at it from a perspective of maybe a street gang. You know, the covering is that head guy. He's the covering of the whole gang, and usually it's held together through the threat of violence. Even when you go into a gang, a lot of times it's through the threat of violence. So, men, how are you covering your wives? Do they feel cherished? Do they feel safe? Do they feel secure? Or is it something else that's there? It goes on to say, therefore keep and watch upon your spirit. Talking to the men now. Therefore keep and watch upon your spirit, that it may be controlled by my spirit. Now, human beings have this uncanny ability to kind of see themselves in a particular light. We can be angry in our mind, and we can imagine different scenarios that are going on in our lives, and then we also have the ability to step back, see those things, survey those things, but we don't have to act upon those things. And that's kind of where I see God really coming in and giving us opportunity to make sure that we're being controlled by His Spirit and not our own. Because what we want to do, and with our emotions and feelings and everything else that we have, there may be certain actions that we want to take, certain things that we may want to do, even words that we may want to say. But are those things being controlled by His Spirit? Or are you just allowing your emotions to take control and run you? So that's where that comes into play. Therefore keep watch upon your spirit, that it may be controlled by my spirit, that you deal not treacherously and faithlessly with your marriage mate. If your spirit is not being controlled by the Spirit of God, there is no way that you will have a successful marriage. Period. End all be all. Because love, if God is love, and you don't have a concept of what love is, and you don't know how to implement love in your life and in your marriage relationship, in any relationship that you have, it's got to be covered by that overarching concept of love. It is the greatest commandment. Men, if we're going to be true men in marriage and have good relationships with our spouses and with our children, with our families, we've got to do it in the spirit of love and controlled by that Spirit of God. I want to thank you for taking this time with me on this morning or this evening, whenever you're watching this particular video. I come to you each and every week. Sunday morning now, we've got a schedule. I upload a video every Sunday afternoon. I do a blog. I have something written for you every Tuesday. And on Thursday, we have a Bible study for you, an audio on our podcast. You can find all of this right at the website, www.thetrueway.org. Just look under the media section. At the top links, just click on media and you'll see everything that I'm talking about there. You have a blessed day. Leave your comments below. Leave your comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts, your comments, your questions even about what it is that we talk about here at The True Way. Whether you're reading a blog or listening to a podcast or watching a video, I would love to know your thoughts, your questions, your concerns, so that I can answer them and address them live, basically, right here on video. You guys have a blessed day and a blessed week in the Lord. I love you.